this. If a song is sung and not recorded, did it happen?
No. I'm surprised you didn't. A professional artist like you, a musician, of course it didn't happen.
Just curious what your take is. That
Okay.
might be my take as well. So what's your tradition?
My tradition is along with Rambling Jack Elliott, who was the John the Baptist to Bob Dylan. After me comes the Savior, blah, blah, blah. To quote another author about it, Jewish middle-class introverted she's describing Jack Elliott and Bobby Dylan. Jewish middle-class introverted loners who reinvented themselves as mythic wandering minstrels with Guthrie as an inspiration for his anarchic independence. Well, I didn't have the luck to be born Jewish, although one never knows, but I was an introverted loner, albeit that I was masquerading as a hail fellow well met. I was an introverted loner pretending to be friendly, that my friendliness was really, are you going to be dangerous? So sort of like Ronald Reagan, hey, how you doing? I wanted to know who somebody was. I think it comes from having a mother who was very short-tempered. You're always testing the temperature of the room. Hey, how you doing? Oh, he really likes people. He might not really like people. He might be just trying to protect himself, and in that sense, the friendliness was sort of a cover. So, but that's definitely my tradition.
Okay.
And the big step for me in reaching that tradition, really there were 3 steps.
Okay.
First one, singing Duke of Earl at Plandome Road Elementary. Duke, 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 Duke of Earl, Duke, Duke, Duke of Earl. And I had the descant in the middle because I was the boy soprano. Boy, I wish I had that back. I could teach you that part. We could do Duke of Earl. As I walk through this world, and a teacher grabbed me afterwards in the fire hall, and she was impressed. I don't know what she did, but she gave me the message. That was a wonderful thing I had done. That was the 5th grade talent show at Plandome Road Elementary. Second step was realizing that I could go straight to the heart of the matter. Ballad in plain D. You know, when Bob Dylan wrote that song, which ironically, as I've mentioned elsewhere, he says he was sorry he wrote it because he hurt people's feelings. To me, that was like, oh my gosh, you can do this music thing about real feelings. You know, Dylan didn't go from folk to rock. Dylan went from rock to folk to rock. In high school, he was in a rock and roll band. That was his thing. And then as he wrote, I wrote it down here to say, and he realized when he went from rock to folk, quote, there was more real life in one line than there was in all the rock and roll themes. So he had to figure that out. And he didn't have a Bob Dylan model like I did. So to me, it was incredible that he was able to pour at all levels. Ballad in Plain D is just so basic that he has this terrible fight with his girlfriend's mother and sister, and he hates them and they hate him, and all kinds of pain. He got that right in his song. 100%. The third big step for me was realizing I owned the audience, not vice versa. I mean, Dylan wrote, I could never sit in a room and just play all by myself. I needed to play for people and all the time. They hated him. The kids, he'd come to the party and start playing. Who the hell wants to hear that? Get out of here. But that was the insulin to his diabetes. He had to do that. He had to do that. And for me, I was the mythic wandering minstrel, not just acting one on stage. In my sense, I figure I called Dylan's bluff. In Rolling Stone, he says, "You're going to the finest school, all right, Miss Lonely, but you only used to get juiced in it. You never learned how to live out on the street. Now you're going to have to get used to it." Well, I took the music life. Now, first of all, in fairness, as my sister Carolyn would have told you, I had different tracks. So I wasn't all wrapped up with my self-identity in becoming a singer. That was just one of my things at that point. It wasn't even the major one, I think. But to the extent in my music life I did it, I actually went out and lived out on the street and got used to it. Whereas Bob went to the great men. He got the great men to recognize him and got found his path that way. And lost the street. I mean, can you imagine John Lennon, Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, they can't go out and play like I did. Could you imagine what it'd be like?
Right.
It doesn't work. And so that's what I feel about that. That was a big step for me. That was a huge step for me. It was very hard. And, I would get, well, anyway, I learned to live out on the street, Can I just play one song? Sorry, my contract won't allow it. Can you play any Neil Young? Well, I used to play it, but he sued me and made me stop. My stage of being like Bob Dylan, being annoying at the parties in high school, I remember I took my KLH, that was our little portable radio, and I played his song, Like a Rolling Stone, at the Quaker meeting, which is supposed to be people standing up and saying what things mean to them. It's supposed to be a personal thing. You're not supposed to bring a music box in there, but I did it and played that song. So I was obviously trying to tell them something, which ironically was enough, how does it feel? That's a big therapy question. And here Bob is over and over again saying to his generation, how does it feel? So who helped me get to the street? Bob Murphy, the one-man band. I saw him playing for a crowd. It was right down by the harbor where I ended up playing at the Sundial. And there he was. And he had a crowd, and he was playing in the street. And I thought to myself, okay, he can do that. And so I tried it. And I remember the first time I went to play on the street, I was so scared. I was embarrassed, like I was being a shoplifter or something. It was incredible, the threshold I had to do it. Then I realized, wait a second, I have complete control of the set list. It's my own practice studio. I'm doing it, okay? And plus, that satisfied the fact that there was somebody else there. And as you can see from the videos, when I learned how to get down to the harbor, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were the best nights. Friday and Saturday were too many people, so they're milling around, But you get the wandering loners, or the people wandering alone, and you get the lovers, as you can see
Obviously.
from the videos. And so that was it. So those are some of the big steps. And then one day, after I had recorded and preserved all my songs as a solo artist, I met a singer guitar player who looks a lot like you that helped me make them more, what's the word? Is bearable the word you're thinking of?
I wouldn't say that.
Oh my goodness. Oh. So I found out in thinking about this, I knew that wasn't his name, Bob Murphy.
Okay.
But I couldn't remember his name. And then all of a sudden it hit me. And I Googled his name and One Man Band. And I read all about, I forgot to mention what I knew about this guy. Found out later, not so long later, he committed suicide. So it hit me. I learned his last name. And yesterday, thinking about coming here, I Googled it, and I didn't click on any of the links because I don't want to have the connection I have with revering him for being up there and being brave enough to help me jump out of the plane. He really helped me that way. And then also the fact that when I learned later that he had taken his own life, like here's a guy, to me it was so cool what he was doing. He took his own life, but he's doing this cool thing. To me it was like, oh my gosh. So maybe now that I've come here and talked about it, I will go back home and actually put in his real last name. Put in his last name and actually click on it. His last name is Devlin.
Okay. So, if we're talking in terms of theme songs, what was your theme song before you wrote Things Are Getting Ugly?
Things Are Getting Pretty. No. Straight on through. Duh.
Straight on through.
Duh. You haven't studied my discography very much.
I've only played on almost every song. Actually, Straight On Through is maybe my #1 favorite of yours. Not that you asked, and not that my opinion's like the greatest thing on the planet. But anyway, we should play it.
All right,
so let's go ahead and do that.
You called your children to you on the desert sand, and you lined them up against the sea. Then you heard a voice cry out as you held out your hand. Rise up if you're ready to be free. No verdict, no history, no stories, please, no lies. Your long lost dream is coming true. Roll back the water where the fire meets the sky. The only way around is straight on through. I stood on a mountain in the promised land, and I saw a silver ship against the sky. Then I heard a voice cry out as I held out my hand. Rise up if you're ready to fly. No verdict, no history, no stories, please, no lies. Your long lost dream is coming true. Roll back the You called your children to you on the desert sand, and you lined them up against the sea. Then you heard a voice cry out as you held out your hand. Rise up if you're ready to be free. No verdict, no history, no stories, please, no lies. Your long lost dream is coming true. Roll back the water where the fire meets the sky. The only way around is straight on through. I stood on a mountain in the promised land, and I saw a silver ship against the sky. Then I heard a voice cry out as I held out my hand. Rise up if you're ready to fly. No verdict, no history, no stories, please, no lies. Your long lost dream is coming true. Roll back the water where the fire meets the sky. The only way around is straight on through.
Okay, so pretty sparse crowd that night.
Yeah,
That
at the video, that was a quiet. But I made $1 that night. You saw that guy put $1 in there, right?
Something. Okay, so what would have happened if your guitar case had not been open?
Okay, so right, you got to have the guitar case open.
Right.
Money waves in your face, especially the Europeans. And it's funny. There's a when somebody decides that he's going to give you money, you're on the street. A dancer started, and that person was wooed by the musician. Mm-hmm. Okay, he comes forward. Now he's up there, and there's no way to put the money. Now, also, he figures out quickly that for me, especially if my cameras are running, the last thing I love the fact they're coming up because I use that in a lot of videos, but the last thing I'm going to do is stop what I'm doing. I have to stay true to my song. So it literally became impossible to do my mission without the open guitar case. And it was fun too. It's fun. Hey, people are giving me money. It was more fun than selling grapefruit spoons, but which I did very well as
So
a
random.
fifth grader with serrated edges, I might add.
Obviously, yeah, you gotta get in
So it's got to be open, and there, because it's open, and they can see it, the contract is complete. They get the satisfaction. It's also embarrassing. Wait a second, buddy. I've decided to reach in my pocket. I'm going to come up and give you something, and now there's nowhere to take it. So now I'm embarrassed
Right.
where to put it, and that it all falls apart. Whereas there's a place to put what do they call it? The collection plate. And that's what happens with that.
Have you ever had anybody put something else in the case?
Oh yeah,
That was not money.
I had a very attractive woman she put a note in and said, "Save me," and her phone number.
That's
And another
smooth.
one that said,
I like that.
"You made my day."
That's nice.
It's, yeah, that's. I mean, that's just. That's.
Okay, just curious. Just curious.
You want to know the third verse to straight on through? Now you've.
Yeah.
Dear God, why did you make it so hard for us to leave the earth? Please send some shuttle buses and make some nice, easy stepping stones for us.
Okay.
Is Larry? Larry! Where's the rhyming dictionary? We can probably put that together right now.
Probably.
All right.
Or maybe we should just leave it as is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, did you have a glass of syrup from the continental shelf?
That means it's time to play Frank-N-Françoise?
Yes.
All
Yes,
right,
it
let's
is.
do it.
Should have brought a tambourine. All right, here goes. I went back to Europe. I was looking for myself. I had a glass of syrup from the continental shelf. My pockets were empty. I was through with romance. Then I heard a soft voice saying, "Want to take another chance? What is your name? Do you need a place to stay?" I said, "My name is Frank from the US of A." "What a coincidence. My name is Françoise." Jesse Fenton, ladies and gentlemen. We went to a party at the Anderson Mansion Institute. I got to feeling very arty when I had a glass of punch or two. She said, "If you'll be my lover, I'll give you a big reward, like a book without a cover, like a parachute without a cord." I said, "I'd really like to stay. We could work something out." But then the band began to play, and all the lights went out. Okay, this is the last time. Let's make her do it again, all right? One more time, and then we're out. Here goes. Jesse Fenton, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. We had such a good time, I can't tell you.
Okay, so did you?
Did I have a glass of syrup from
Yeah.
the Continental Shelf?
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so lucky that I didn't need booze. I remember there's a Sunday school teacher friend of mine. They wanted me to come over. I don't know why they wanted me to come over. His son was 2 years younger than me. So I drove over he was my Sunday school teacher, nice guy. And what they wanted was a third drinker. And father and son, I watched father and son just get drunk sitting there. And I got drunk, pretty drunk. And wow. Wow. You know why people go to Europe, don't you?
Why don't you tell me?
To meet Americans.
To me?
You didn't know that?
So did you meet any?
I met Martha, and I met what's her name? And Martha, God bless her.
Martha.
Oh my gosh.
God bless Martha.
Yes. She was a redhead. She was so gentle. She was a teacher. Teachers are the best, as you know. And she played A Day in the Life of a Fool. Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So, did you finish that thought?
I finished
in your
that
mind
thought.
thinking about Martha? Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I'd want that.
All right, so are you ready for If Wishes Were Horses?
All right,
Should
let
we
her
play
rip.
that? All right, go ahead.
You and me again, I hope.
I see the dying sun, where its fire fills the sky. I say, what have I done? What's that anger in your eye? You stand in our doorway, and you say the seeds don't grow. You say you're going your way, and you say you're free to go. I wake in the night with tears in my eyes. I turn on the light. There's no one at my side. I open the window just in time to hear you cry. If wishes were horses, even you could ride. walked against this winter wind, but my eyes are now dim. I fought against this empty plane, but my fingers are now thin. I'm leaving on that morning star that's rising in the sky. But deep inside my heart I know I'll love you till I die. I wake in the night with tears in my eyes. I turn on the light. There's no one at my side. I open the window just in time to hear you cry. If wishes were horses, even you could ride. I see the dying sun falling from the sky. I say, what have I done? What's that anger in your eye? You stand in our doorway and you say the seeds don't grow. You say you're going your way and you say you're free to go. I wake in the night with tears in my eyes. I turn on the light. There's no one at my side. I open the window just in time to hear you cry. If wishes were horses, even you could ride. I've walked against this winter wind, but my eyes are now dim. I fought against this empty plain, but my fingers are now thin. I'm leaving on that morning star that's rising in the sky. But deep inside my heart I know I'll love you till I die. I wake in the night with tears in my eyes. I turn on the light. There's no one at my side. I open the window just in time to hear you cry. If wishes were horses, even you could ride.
So, and?
The Stevens-Einstein equation, loving you can fulfill me.
So that's quite a contrast. The loving, snuggly couple in the harbor video versus the couple in the song.
Right, if
So-
wishes were horses is, you know, oh my goodness. I see the falling sun where its fire fills the sky. I say, what have I done? What's that anger in your eye? And then they have the video with these snuggly, it's kind of weird, a weird contrast. I'll have to maybe I'll tell Frank to redo that one.
Okay. All right, so let's watch Noah.
Okay.
Okay?
Only if they put up my next cartoon. We're almost done here. Oh, here it is. I'm sure they'll put it up. This one I won't even explain. I'll just let the viewers absorb it.
Okay.
Noah watched the rain where the earth lay trembling. Then he came down from the mountain and stopped the carriage of the king. He said, Silver Hill is sinking and the iron forge is gone. Before the night is over, we must be sailing on. So the shepherd blew a note on his wooden flute so shrill, it was heard from the Blue Fort to the woods on Candy Hill. The bluebird told the farmer, the pirate told the swan, before the night is over, we must be sailing on. The smuggler and the sheriff led a prayer for peace. I looked up in the north sky and saw the hidden sea. The princess turned away in the stardust of dawn. I said goodbye forever and we all sailed on.
How about the little boy on the scooter?
That's me. Oh my gosh, he's so sweet, so beautiful. I mean, he's just so proud of himself on that scooter. And his mom just loves him so much, and they dance to my music, just like I was, always on wheels, down the steps, scar on the head, the maintenance man. We lived at Edgerton Gardens in London. I lived there for my first 5 years. And the maintenance man moved the flower pot, and my mother let me go out on my tricycle, and the flower pot was protecting the stairs. So I still have the bump. Want to see my bump?
I think we all do. Can we get a close-up of that?
So I think about that, you know, I remember because my mother, when talking about what it was like to have her little boy, I don't know if I was unconscious for a while or what, but that's when she, you know, I guess probably the biggest fear she had as a mother. And I like to think about that when I see that little boy, because that, you know, the journey that I've been on didn't have to happen.
Okay, well then, I mean, is Noah your hero, would you say?
Well, you know, Bob is my hero.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, I didn't realize it, that he was swimming in the same water as I was. He met Susie Rotolo, the girl who's on this album cover, and he wrote most of these songs about, especially the ones I've been talking about. I mean, the songs that had such a... He met her at the Riverside Unitarian Church, which I used to go to. I wasn't regularly there, but I was there. So he was part of that liberal New York intelligentsia, you know, and a brave guy. I mean, he wrote songs about Medgar Evers, which was, you know, he was the civil rights guy that was shot down. He wrote Talkin' Birch Society Blues. He put it right in the face of right. I mean, he was a brave guy, and Susie's own uncle lost a job promotion because she was on the cover of that album. So there was a lot of doing it, you know. And you've heard me say that you only have 3 choices: buy art, be art, or make art. So you buy art, you can see those guys, you know, in Manhattan. They own it. They own it. Here's my Mittendorf, my Buchenbuckel. That's easy. They buy art. you can be art. And that's where, you know, you talked about Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin from there's so many famous guys who've gone down. You know, like, being art is tough. You know, that's why it's so great to be able to have a bigger percentage of your music need filled internally than externally, whatever that means. But you know, that you can be art. And it's fun to be art. You think it's fun to be art.
Until you accidentally overdose.
I guess,
And then you're gone.
I guess, or just to be, that's just such a hard job to be art. You know, like when Bob said, you know, we need another Bob Dylan, he was tired of it. It's amazing that he was able to keep, as we come to third, making it, you know.
Yeah.
I love you, Bob. I'm not going to say a bad thing about whether you needed any help doing it. You know, and there were other brave makers of art, you know, in that same tradition, you know, Peter, Paul, and Mary, or Two Beards and a Doll, as they were called by Ned Hentoff, or Joan Baez, who was, I think, called by Ned Hentoff the Madonna of the disaffected, you know. But they were making art. They were making art.
Any current people that you consider art makers, like as of today? Because I know you're not totally out of the current.
I'm pretty far out of it.
I don't know.
I'm pretty far out of it. I'll tell you, I was impressed with Freddie Mercury. I knew nothing about him. And I got my Spotify and said, wow, that's musically, I liked it, and the harmony and the in-your-face, the assertion. And of course, that kid, who's the kid, the angry kid?
The angry kid?
Yeah, you know who I mean.
No.
I'll think of it. It's the rapper, the
Eminem.
white rapper, yeah. You know, I listened to his first album. I thought, okay, you know, good for you. You know, he had a big dose of making art.
So, okay, so you have Spotify.
How about you? Who's making art today? You're throwing these hard, tough questions at me.
You know, I love it because when you speak of today's artists, everyone wants to just crap all over them, but I think Lady Gaga.
Good. I'm going to put her.
I support her 1,000%.
I'm going down on Spotify.
You really should. You should go on Spotify. I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts on, you know, whatever the top 20 is, and then we should just come back and do this again.
Oh, okay.
And have a completely
Do
different discussion.
do this again? Okay, you just fell into a big trap there. Here's the last cartoon. Isn't this the last cartoon? I hope it's the last cartoon. Yeah, this is the last cartoon.
This is in response to my...
You say we should do this again?
Fine. I take it back.
I'm just kidding you.
it
This
back.
was, I didn't know your question.
Okay, well, did you ever find that guitar player and singer you were looking for?
That means it must be time to cue up the next one. Next song, anyway.
Great.
Which, ironically enough, turns out we picked the same one.
Really? All right, well, thanks for talking.
Thank you. It was fun.